I'm Marilyn Baker, and I want to work with you for a bright future in North Carolina. Let's take a look at the current status of public education in North Carolina. What is the truth about our spending for North Carolina public schools from kindergarten through 12th grade? According to North Carolina Policy Watch, when we compare fiscal year 2010 and 11 to our current year, several per student state allotted positions are down. The allotment for teachers is down 2.6%. For instructional support, it's down almost 9%, along with the allotment for principals and assistant principals down at almost 9%. Let's take a look at the 10 largest dollar allotments other than teachers. 6 of them have been cut since the fiscal year 2010-11. When we adjust for inflation and student headcount, we find that state funding for teacher assistants is down over 38%. The allotment for school supplies and materials is also down over 38%. Central office support is down over 25%, and support for low-wealth counties is down over 16%. Students with limited proficiency have had budget cuts of over 11%. And last but not least, transportation for students is down almost 4%. This graph from Public Schools First in North Carolina shows that North Carolina's spending per student is behind many other states in the South, including West Virginia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Virginia, South Carolina, Arkansas, Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. Our national rank is estimated for the year 2015-16 to be number 43. What about our community colleges? The state's community colleges play an important role in strengthening local economies, in part by building trained and skilled local workforces that can meet business needs in a dynamic 21st century economy. The $1.04 billion in state spending for community colleges essentially maintains funding at the level of the previous budget. State funding per full-time equivalent is close to returning to its pre-recession level. This does not, however, mean community colleges are adequately funded. Rather, this reality highlights a failure to boost investments that enhance the flexibility and responsiveness of community colleges in providing training that helps attract and retain good-paying jobs. This graph shows that the tuition at the North Carolina community colleges has increased 81% since 2009. The reason for this increase is because the cost at community colleges have continued to go up, even though funding has been relatively level, forcing an increase in tuition. And what about the University of North Carolina system of universities across our wonderful state? In a special report from North Carolina Policy Watch, they wrote, there have been significant and measurable changes to the 17-campus university system driven by substantial budget cuts of more than $500 million since the start of the recession. State funding per student, when adjusted for inflation, has dropped steadily since the start of the recession from $15,635 per student in 2007-8 to $13,187 for the current school year. The recession forced the first round of cuts, and conservatives, that is Republicans, who have ruled the legislature since 2011 have enacted larger cuts since then. This slide shows that since 2008, tuition in the University of North Carolina system has increased nearly 43%, while the state funding per student has declined nearly 16%. Since the Republicans took over the General Assembly in 2011, our public schools, colleges, and universities have been underfunded. As a result, our public schools have lost significant funding for teaching assistants and other support personnel, as well as funding for textbooks and other supplies. We're facing a severe teacher shortage over the next few years as fewer college students major in education and experienced teachers take early retirement or leave for other states or professions. Our community colleges have not had the funding that they need to respond to changes in the 21st century, and our community colleges and universities have had to significantly increase tuition. My opponent has consistently voted along party lines since being elected. Please vote for candidates who support public schools, colleges, and universities every year, not just in election years. Please vote for me, Marilynn Baker, for State House 74. Together, we can work for North Carolina's bright future in education, and that's why I have been endorsed by the North Carolina Association of Educators. I'm Marilynn Baker, and I approve this message. This message was paid for by Marilynn Baker for State House 74.